YouTube, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Yo, this is crazy. They want a 2-part series. They were like, he's almost at an hour. We're about to shut it back. But I come right back with it. And Queen, continue from where you were. So I'm going to let you continue from where you were. We were talking about, I said how I didn't understand at the fact that there was a situation that was going on. So what I remarked is that there's usually a scientist that may pour a chemical in the water and people blame the government. But I'm going to add on to that so you could really get your point home. What if him adding it to the water, there were no government funds? What if he was just a lunatic adding it to the water?
Okay, well, I'm going to make a clear point onto that situation, right? I'm going to base it off of the aspect of the water, and then I'm going to pick up where I left off. So, how can anyone have the accessibility to get those products without government clearance? It's like basically saying, oh, okay, yeah, I'm gonna run around, right? I'm gonna run around this is hypothetical, so I don't want people to take this out of context or anything.
Okay.
That I'm gonna run around and go to Home Depot, I'm gonna go to Lowe's, and I'm gonna buy a whole bunch of fertilizer and get certain products that could possibly create a bomb.
Okay.
Do you know that the government actually tracks those products to make sure that people are not purchasing those things out of their transactions?
Okay. How are they doing this? Through the store?
Absolutely.
Okay. Can't argue with that.
So if you're getting something that is highly poisonous or highly toxic on a massive scale that can affect something like Detroit, there has to be some sort of government clearance in order to have such harsh chemicals, because they're not going to sell it out there like that, are they?
I mean,
unless if it's funded through the black market, to which we've already seen situations with Reagan, to where he pumped massive amount of cocaine and crack in the African American community via the black market, whichever way, however you want to throw it.
Okay. So are you? You're saying that you see the larger picture of a higher influence in this Tentacion series?
Absolutely. So picking up where I left off, we were talking about how Czarr went about being on camera after he was violated by the Migos, and he was following Liftoff around and basically telling him to come fight him like a man, and he kept making sure that there was space between him and security. And on top of that, even after the whole situation went down, he even alluded to the fact that, watch out, because these men might try to come after me and take me out. Even when that situation came on Instagram, basically stating, you know what I'm saying, Drake is trying to sacrifice me in DJ Academic's interview. Why would he say that when we're looking at a situation to where he has stated, Sesame Street hip hop news reporter actually stated that he was being harassed or being followed? So why is it that people are not taking that seriously? And just to point back on to the connections, because people are like, oh, well, do you really think that Drake and Amigos still have something to do with this? I absolutely do. I absolutely agree with that. So, and the way that I feel pertaining to that situation is this. Dedrick Williams hired a private investigator to look into gang activity, right? To imply that there was some sort of gang activity revolving around this situation. Now, we know that the affiliations of high-profile artists get their way through gang affiliation. Okay, so one gang, let's just say Dedrick want to look into the Zoes or the Bloods or the Crips. I'm gonna just put a mixed bag out there because it is what it is. But Cardi openly says that she's a Blood, to which she's married to Offset, right? Drake, I don't know what his situation is. Some people feel like he is a Blood, but he was signed or is signed through Birdman and Lil Wayne. They're Bloods, right? So let's just go on the aspect that this could be a blood-related situation. Because after even the people that were accused of murder and X are constantly wearing red, including Dedrick. So I kind of find that to be interesting. But on top of that too, someone was saying to me, "Oh, okay, well, how does that relate to the music industry or whatever?" You check out iHeartRadio, right? The iHeartRadio Awards happen. We look at all the hip hop awards that were passed out to everyone, right? XxTentacion did not win, okay? And I refused to watch it because something told me in my soul it's not a good look, okay? At the end of the day, they basically awarded Drake. They awarded some dude named Block Boy JB, who had a Drake feature on there, which somehow outbeat XxTentacion spins or his streams or whatever the situation may be. And I believe Cardi won as well. So here's what I'm saying. When you're looking at the management of these characters, of the Migos, of Cardi, of Drake, okay, they are under QC management. They're under QC management, to which I'm sure that labels are still getting a back end cut to making sure that those spins are getting played via Clear Channel. Clear Channel stations sponsor iHeartRadio. Anybody else want to argue with me?
So, no, I definitely get where you're coming from. I did see the video where Takeoff was running up the steps and he had on pants that looked like they were like 3 sizes too small, and they were yelling at him, and he was running up with a bodyguard. I've seen that. I did see the encounters by him and Tentacion, and it didn't look like he was trying to go to war with Tentacion, but I did see one where he claimed he was beat up. My thing is, are we just taking even his word at the time he was dealing with it that that's actually who attacked him? Because are we saying the Migos could scrap? They got them hands?
Were they the ones that were being filmed when this entire situation was happening? The only thing that we were able to see was that these men were actually coming out of their vehicle and actually stalking X while he was waiting to pick up, from either his entourage or whoever was going to take him away. And all you see is other people around him who you know what I'm saying, who were, with him trying to get to those other dudes that were fighting him. And you see that Migos security was pushing his crew away so that way he can keep getting beat by whoever this dude was. So my thing is, why would anybody like this, you know what I'm saying? X could be out there doing his thing, whatever, in his own little bubble. Why would anyone stalk someone in LA and cause havoc and problems for them? And then on top of it too, it was also reported in Complex News that the Migos had something to do with it.
Well, before I answer that, let me quickly answer June Nolan. June, a mausoleum takes 6 months to build. So if we're going to presume it was ready at that time, that means that it was built about If it was ready by June, it was built around January. It wasn't just built so quick. That thing takes a while to build. Someone tried to say, oh, it was handed to them. That's a different scenario. But as far as building it, it takes long to build that type of stuff. At least they said 5 to 6 months. Now about the Migos dealing with that situation, I don't know. I don't see anything blatant, just like for instance, let me use a recent situation. Lil Mister from Chicago, he is deceased. Now, a lot of people were saying, oh, Mimo 600 did it. Mimo, they were beefing, but how do I know other enemies didn't come take him out? And then because they were beefing, now we're looking at the last guy he was beefing with. I don't have any proof. It's just like, but now we're blatantly seeing people arrested. If they didn't sit down and say, this guy employed me, that guy employed me, I'm here because of him, it's hard to say they did it. I'm looking exactly at who did it and who they're in pictures with, who they were around most of the times, and who else they're hanging out with. I'm looking at their circle. It's hard for me to connect. Oh, yeah, he was a broke bum that wanted to kill someone for $50,000, but he's hanging out with the multi-million-dollar Drake or Migo. It's like, I understand where you're coming from, but until I have proof of a connection, it's far-fetched. Even him.
All of these people answer to street dudes who run the streets. They answer to OGs and they take orders from OGs.
Right.
So if Diedrich is actually doing his best to find some sort of gang, private investigator to look at this particular situation and say, hey, this needs to be looked at a little bit closer because there are possibly way more people that are involved in this situation. Why exactly would anyone need a gang expert if there weren't more people involved? You have to see a gang situation just like an organization that can actually infiltrate the music industry from no longer pushing out rocks in the street to now pushing out, streams on the internet.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying it's not heavy there. For instance, he said, if anything happens, this guy did it. If he felt that way, the only way it will hold weight is if he did a police report and he was like, listen, I got direct threats from these guys to say they're going to off me. That's the only way I could understand it versus me openly saying, because he said a lot openly. And when he got on and, he was talking, saying whatever. I can't say it all. Anything he said, I'm supposed to take that blatantly. Like, yep, that's what he got. Yep, he says he's shaped in this way, so he must be sticking girls with a dagger. Like, it's like how easy is it to take everything someone's saying? Now, being that he did say that, that would be the difference between a dumb and a smart investigator saying, let me look into this angle.
Well, here's what I'm saying too. Yeah, sure. It would have been wise for him to file a police report, right? But we are currently looking at a particular culture that has a very intense no snitching policy, right? And technically for him even putting anything out on the internet, that's still technically snitching. But if you go ahead and make a move by going to the police or going to someone else, that's even way worse. Because then people are going to look at you in the industry like, oh, I can't be around you. I can't do this with you. I can't show you my illegal weapons and my drugs and everything else.
The only way I would say is snitching. I see snitching different in a situation like that. And let me explain. It would be snitching if me and you went and did a hit. We killed everybody. We came out with everything. It would be snitching if I got caught and I mentioned you. That would be snitching because we did it together. So if Diedrich said we're the low, he didn't, to my knowledge. But if he said where the location of everyone is, that's snitching. If I'm a tax-paying resident and you don't pay a lick and you're setting something up, I'm a family man, I have a family, and you're trying to set something up to get me. And listen, and this is important because if you're allowed to own guns, you know you can't make threats. I can't make a threat to someone with a gun. I'm unable to do that. I do that, I get my license snatched. I can't do that. Now, I could use it if I have to, but I can't make threats. So when guys up here making threats, oh, I'm going to do that, I can't do that. I can show you it, but I can't do that. That's part of your training. You use it when needed. When you have someone out here being a rebel with it, that's why they have 25 to life. So if I'm a tax-paying individual and my family's in danger, is it snitching for me to use my gun and say, you know, I know who this was I used it on? Is that snitching for me to speak after I use my weapon?
When you say you use your weapon, what exactly are you speaking of?
They're dead because
in a sense of defense.
It doesn't matter. It can be offense or defense. Someone's making a bunch of threats and they show up on somewhere I'm at and I'm with my family. I use my weapon. That's snitching because I say I used it because this person was sending threats and things. Let me tell you, the first thing you're going to ask is, did you make a report about it? Now, depending on the distance and the time, you could say I didn't have time to. This person showed up and they were aggressive. They were trying to take me out, trying to do things. I used a weapon on them because I don't have time for that. That's different.
The reason why Florida has a stand your ground law.
Exactly.
Going off the base of the state of Florida, absolutely.
But it doesn't matter because here's the difference. There's a few things that happen when you use a gun that most people don't know. Number one, whether you're legally able to have it or not, you get drug tested. So let's be real. 80% of people would be going to jail just off of that. Let's be real. You get drug tested because if you were some type of not sober during the use of it, that could be something that took away your judgment of whether to kill this person or not. It doesn't matter if you own the weapon.
Let's just say that Czarr was the type to actually carry weapons, which he's not. But even at the time, keep in mind that he was completely sober because he had he chose to be that way, but also he was having to answer to his PO since he was on house arrest, and then within 48 hours, he passed away.
Okay.
So let's just say that he had a gun, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody was making threats to his family or whatever the situation may be, to him, regardless, whatever. And he used and utilized the stand your ground law. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I'm not saying it is, but all I'm trying to say is that if we're going to define snitching, we have to define it correct. And I believe this generation's idea of snitching is contorted. They don't understand what snitching is. Snitching is I'm beside you, rapping about guns I got, dancing across the screen, dancing like just being short, whatever it's called. And a shootout happens. And I'm going to run when my boy's in danger or something like that. And then when I get brought in, I'm like, yeah, he was the one who was, even if he's gone, putting taint on his legacy when I know we both pulled up to do dirt. See, let me tell you something what's wrong with a gangster thinking. It's that everybody's gangster till them cuffs are on and you're sitting behind. How many thugs snitched? How many on their dude they did the crime with?
Okay, so check this out. Here's a good example. We can even talk about 6ix9ine situation, right? He's locked up, and so basically, you don't think that he probably did a plea deal or something to kind of justify what is going on, because he had beef with Chief Keef, and they were going at each other for quite some time. I even stated this in the beginning when I initially did a video that he needs to watch his back. And the next thing you know, he was being shot at in Brooklyn.
Now, two things I want to say about that. No, go ahead. You can finish if you're going to say.
No, I just wanted to say that clearly it's kind of crazy, because it's like you can go ahead and say in hip hop, oh hey, 6ix9ine is having beefs with Chief Keef or whatever it is. But why is it that it's so one-sided with the feds and being able to target one party over another?
There's two things about that I'm confused. Number one, how does Chief Keef's incident ever get introduced into the case? Like, who was caring about that? You made threats back to 6ix9ine the same way. Shots fly at you. You threatened him too. So who cares if you threatened him and you two got into some gangster stuff? You talk like a gangster. You were egging him on. I seen it. So that's why I was confused. Like, why are they speaking about it? Why do cops keep talking about it? Like, how did that get communicated? I was confused about that. And I'm not going to go into more detail. I'm confused about that. That made no sense. That was even introduced with all the music that they made talking about how they're going to kill someone. When the same guy who they claimed he put a hit out on went on IG and said, I kill people. He went live and said this. I'm supposed to be worried about you? Do they even pay taxes? Does he even pay taxes? I'm worried about you after you go live and say I kill people. What about all those people you killed? Let's ask him that. The second thing I want to wait, that was about them being introduced. The second thing is 6ix9ine situation was slightly different. Here's why. Not only was he admitting to being around when they did their dirt, but they plotted to off him. They plotted to take him out. So you're sitting there, you're hearing all